Continuing things at the Division II level for the Sunset League, the Corona Del Mar Sea Kings on the road at the undefeated San Gabriel Valley League champion Warren Bears, and they pull out a crazy victory, 42-35. Friday Night Lights at its finest, one of the best high school football playoff games you'll ever see. So I want to rewind, take it back, and let you know how it went down for CdM against Warren on Friday night. Earl Warren High School, Downey, California, opening round of the CIF Division II playoffs, and CdM strikes first. David Razor finds running back Evan Sanders out of the backfield. Sea Kings go up 7-0, but Nico Iyama-Leava, five-star junior QB prospect for the Warren Bears, he's going to run it in. Warren goes for two. They go up 8-7 in the first. Now, late second quarter, Corona Del Mar trying to punch it in before halftime. David Razor looks the end zone. He's picked off by Khalil Williams. Corona Del Mar would go into half down 8. Now, start of the fourth quarter, Corona Del Mar down by 7, going for it on fourth down. Play breaks down, but David Razor, Mr. Triple C, cool, calm, collected. He dives into the end zone and ties things up at 28. Cooper Hoke had muffed a punt earlier in this game. Corona Del Mar trying to go up and take the lead here. Here's Cooper Hoke all alone. Redemption story. 64 yards to pay dirt. Corona Del Mar scores. And we had 1 minute, 8 seconds left. Game is tied up. David Razor tests the rocket launcher. 4th and 18. Hail Mary. Cooper Hoke hauls it in. Back-to-back touchdown grabs. The Sea Kings move on.
Well, as we're looking at the recap and while we were following along, I'm just thinking to myself, why? What gives Coach O'Shea the confidence to continue to go for it on fourth down instead of playing it safe? But I guess it's because these times that he goes for it and finds success, it's like, well, we got to roll the dice. We see a 4th and 7. David Razor drops back to pass, doesn't like what he sees, takes off himself and gets the touchdown with his legs. He's been doing stuff like this all season for his team. But the crazy one we just saw at the end, 4th and 18. CdM got sacked on third down, which just breaks your back when you're trying to march down, run some clock. They get sacked. 4th and 18. Instead of punting, playing it safe, they say we're going to drop back and throw a Hail Mary, a fade to the end zone. And Cooper Hoke, we just got done talking about Troy Fletcher and the stuff that you lay up at night and dream about before the game. That's what Cooper Hoke did. He went out there. It was a cover 4, 2 men deep. He didn't care about the coverage. He kept his eyes on the ball, jumped up and made the catch. That's something he's going to remember for the rest of his life. And his team needed a big play in that moment because who knows what happens if you punt the ball away, you play it safe. Maybe Warren comes down and punches it in for a quick touchdown, or you go to overtime and anything happens in overtime. So CdM took their fate into their own hands. And David Razor, the offensive line, let's give the O-line a lot of credit. David Razor, the O-line, Cooper Hoke, they executed when they needed to, and they were ready for that moment.
Well, I talked about it at the start of the show, resiliency being the theme for the Sunset League this week. And on a macro level in this game, yes, CdM was down 2 scores in the third quarter. On a micro level, Cooper Hoke muffed a punt, and he came over to the sideline, and they said, don't worry, you're going to get that back, and he did. Coach O'Shea told us a pretty cool story about Hoke's resiliency in the game on Friday night.
And he goes back as our punt returner and muffs the kick. And they recover the ball on about the 12-yard line. And we're like, oh, sugar. Okay, we had momentum, and now they got it. As soon as he walked out, it was the coolest thing in the world is to see, especially all the offense guys, go up to him, hug him. But they picked him up, and he could feel it. They weren't going to let him put his head down, like this and walk off the field. But let's go. You're going to make – it's kind of weird. You're going to go get a touchdown catch. Well, he didn't get one touchdown catch. He had the last 2 touchdown catch, the 4th and 17 and a 60-yarder or so, I think, over the top. So it's a neat story for sure.
Also of note in this game, star quarterback for Warren, the junior Nico Iyama-Leava. He got knocked out of the game early. His younger brother, Madden Iyama-Leava, took over. And the CdM defense, they did a pretty good job shutting down that prolific Warren offense.
Yeah, we knew the Warren offense was high-powered. CdM, they did give up a couple of big plays, but for the most part, they stayed solid. They didn't give up a lot of long drives. But there's a guy on the defense we have to give a shout-out to. That's Dylan Wood. He had an absolutely dominant performance. Not everything that he did is going to show up in the stat sheet. He had a lot of hurries, a lot of QB hits. The Warren offensive line had to account for him. He made them change what they wanted to do offensively because of him living in the backfield. But there were things that showed up in the stat sheet, like a fumble recovery, a pass breakup, also 2 fourth quarter sacks, 3 sacks on the game, 2 in the fourth quarter late. When the game is on the line, everything matters. Somebody has to come up with a big play in the playoffs to get their team off the field. And that guy was Dylan Wood. His presence was felt all night. He deserves a ton of credit for what this CDM defense did. It started up front by making it very uncomfortable for the Warren offense.
And we can't talk about Dylan Wood without mentioning his sweet red Ford pickup truck. I think it's a 79. That's my guess. I'm going to ask him at practice this week. But I always pull up into the CDM parking lot to go talk to the players and coaches, and I always see Dylan Wood's truck, and I'm like, that young man's got swag, and he plays like it as well.
Got to have swag to drive a truck like that, and he plays with a lot of confidence, and it showed up in the playoffs last night.
CDM going to host Orange Lutheran out of the Trinity League in the quarterfinals at Davidson Field on Friday. We'll preview that in our upcoming preview show.